Hey folks, this is Johnny, and if you'd like to support Home Studio Trainer and Johnny Guide live streams and videos, check out my spring store. I've got everything from water bottles to shirts to hoodies, and everything you can imagine is over there. Most of it has the Home Studio Trainer logo on it, but if you dig a little deeper into the site, you'll find the hats that are available with both my black and white logo and my HST logo on it. So if you'd like to support what I do here, check that out, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you much for being a Home Studio Trainer and Johnny Guide live stream and video supporter. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next live stream. Man, that's big, isn't it? Hey, folks, this is Johnny, and welcome to another Home Studio Trainer Live. And there's something wrong with my camera. I don't know why. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can fix this issue. There we go. Hopefully, oh, wait, you're right. I am off. There we go. Hopefully everybody is doing well. So tonight is going to be songwriting simplified, and this will be the last time that that songwriting simplified will be on this channel for a while. Johnny Lipsham is going to be taking it over while I take a hiatus from doing the live streams for a while and focus on rebuilding my channel. Things as far as support for Home Studio Trainer has been waning in the past couple months since the removal of my main channel at the end of last year. So I've got to rethink what I'm doing here. So I got to see if I can earn the respect and the support back from the people that I lost. I'm going to be working on that. The Home Studio Trainer YouTube channel is coming back. The Johnny Guide live stream channel, which I tried to launch, didn't go over very well. So I will be converting that back to the Home Studio Trainer YouTube channel and see if I can rebuild my following. So I hope you guys are patient with me. I will be doing some live streams. The midnight show on Saturday nights, I may keep that going. I tried to keep the subscriber music hour. Unfortunately, I will not, because I will be working another job during that time. So I have to think about, maybe I'll do a once a month thing for the subscriber music hour and things like that. Yeah, things are going to change around here a little bit, but I'm not going anywhere. So I just have to refocus my energy on the Personas groups on Facebook and the Personas forum. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if I can earn back the people that I lost through the whole nightmare. So let's see if we can get Johnny Lipsham in here. Let me actually shrink this down and open up my, there we go. There is my Skype. So yes, Johnny Lipsham will be taking over the Wednesday Songwriting Simplified. I believe he's going to go back to 6 o'clock, which would be good for a lot of people. So we'll see what happens. I'm waiting for Skype to open because it's doing an update. Stupid updates. All right. Hopefully everybody is doing well. We have 17 people in here. Awesome. Awesome. At least my viewers stuck with me, which is probably the thing that I really like the most. Is the fact that you guys, the family that Home Studio Trainer has built over the years and stuff, you guys have stuck with me, and I really appreciate it. All right, Harry James is here. He waves at me. Hi. How you doing? All right, so let's call Johnny Lipsham. Let's see if he picks up his Skype. Let's see here. And, dum, 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 dum.
Hello.
Hello. I'm changing my audio. Don't worry.
Yeah, you need to do your usual trick.
I know. I'm changing it. I'm doing it. I promise. And hey, stop that. So I do have a question for everybody, though. Let me see if I can Studio 24. How's that, Johnny?
There you go.
There we go. I do have a question for everybody, though. How many of you Mac users have updated to the new Ventura OS? So we'll put that as a question to everybody.
That's a good question. I have actually just as of yesterday.
Yes, I am actually running it right now to run this show, and I have to say it was probably one of the smoothest OS updates I've been through. Studio One works. All of my plugins work. Even some of my freebie little third-party plugins work. And it is really, really nice. Oh, Bobby Boo says, sorry, PC here. Yeah, I haven't updated my PC yet. And you guys know that I do some shows from my PC also. So, yeah, the PC's going well. I can only get it up to the latest version of Windows 10. But, you know, that's about as close to Windows 11 as I'm going to get on that machine. And if I do ever come across being able to pick up a machine that will run Windows 11, or if Microsoft, and I've heard that this might be in the works, Microsoft might be in the works to kind of scale down the limitations of what Windows 11 can go on. I've just heard that kind of in the background. I don't know if it's true or not. So enter at your own risk on that information. So very good. So Johnny, how are you?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, we've had some family complications going on in the background, which I've not talked about because I don't really talk about my family life very much.
Right.
But a few weeks back, maybe even a couple of months back, my wife had she went to hospital to have some scans done.
Right.
And we got the results back from those, and she basically got a phone call from the doctor and say, "Hey, you need to come in and we need to talk about this."
Uh-oh. Is she okay?
Yeah. So we were kind of like, "Uh-oh." But it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, as you know, my wife just went through the exact same thing. She had a heart check done. They were concerned about the scans. She has something called Turner syndrome, and she only has 2 sections of her heart instead of 3 like everybody else. But as it turned out, the blockage isn't that bad, so they're going to try to take care of the blockage with medication. We're like,
right.
But if she has to have the surgery, we want her to have it while she's younger instead of putting it off. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. So I can definitely, I know what you're going through. So hopefully your wife is okay overall right now.
Yeah, she's all right. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Good deal. All right, the other thing we need to let people know, and I kind of said this at the beginning of the show, you will be taking over the Songwriting Simplified duties, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and I do plan on popping in sometimes. We'll do the show together on the days that I have off at that time. Are you going to go back to 6 o'clock?
That's my plan, yeah.
Okay.
It's easier for me because then, you know, I'm not like finishing at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And, you know, by the time I finish at 2 in the morning, it takes me a good while to kind of to cool off after, you know, getting involved and doing demonstrations and stuff. You know, it's like kind of like you get into it, and it takes you a while to kind of chill out afterwards. So by the time I've done that, it's like after 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's
and I'm up again at 7. So
right. That was a little bit of a mistake on my part.
It's fine. Don't.
Yeah, it was unavoidable, sadly. So.
Don't worry about it. It's not a bother. So I'm going to go back to 6 p.m.
All right, cool. And Bob says he prefers that.
The way I've set it up is that I've set it up so that I can do solo shows, but I can also have guests on as well, because I would like to be able to do that. You know, so when you are able to come in, we can get you back in. And also I want to have other guests in here. Like I want to have Rich Cresswell in to talk about composing. and there's a few other people that I want to get lined up to come in and basically talk about different aspects of
Excellent.
not just songwriting, but kind of opening up a little bit more to things like composing and arranging and instrumentation and stuff like that.
Yep, absolutely. Very cool. Boy, that sounds like fun, actually. All right, let's see. We have 15 people in here, and I'm looking to see how many likes we have, but there's a button in the way. We got 10 likes. Excellent. Thank you, guys, for popping in. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, 11. Great.
Yeah. All right. So we have an open Q&A going right here. So if you guys have any questions about songwriting, Studio One, your hardware or issues that you're having, please feel free to ask. And of course, I have started answering the emails directly now that I'm getting, but I do have a couple that I haven't answered yet that might be good for the show here. All right, let's see. Oh, and by the way, I got a recording of the service for Rebecca. It was gorgeous.
Right.
It was absolutely gorgeous, and that was a huge surprise to a lot of us. We all knew that she was in and out of the hospital, but we didn't know that she was going to pass.
No, we certainly did not.
Yeah,
No.
I talked to her daughter, and it was awesome. She had a lot of good things to say. She said she loved the show. She said she loved the videos. She was a big part of the chat a lot for here. So our condolences to her family. So very cool. All right, let's see here. So the first question I have here is an interesting one. This is from Marco over at hst-homestudiotrainer.com. He is wondering about solos for saxophone. He says, I am a soprano sax player, and I do solos for various projects. I've had people ask me if I could do a lower style saxophone. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I think he did voice to chat. And he says he's having trouble doing the conversion to something that sounds lower, but the people that I do tracks for don't like the high squeaky soprano sax. Do you have any ideas on how I can either settle that, or is the transition to a different type of saxophone that difficult?
It shouldn't be difficult at all.
Yeah.
The reason being is that the saxophone family have the same fingering.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know.
So the soprano sax is in B flat, which is the same as the tenor sax. It's just a whole octave higher than the tenor sax. So he can go down to tenor if he wants to. He could also go down to alto. Alto is in E flat, as is baritone sax. So he could go to any of those. The thing that he would need to remember is that the lower and middle registers of all the saxophones are exactly the same fingering. It's just, it's just a different transposition.
Right.
But it's essentially the same fingering. But when you get into the upper register, the altissimo register and the overblowing register, because the instruments overblow by a different amount, the fingering is a little bit different. So I'll give you an example of this. So alto saxophone, the altissimo register is a little bit more like clarinet fingering in the upper register.
Oh, interesting.
And that's the same for the baritone saxophone as well. So the fingering's a little bit different, which is something that he will have to learn.
Right.
And there are plenty of books that are available that cover playing in the altissimo register and fingering for those. And of course, there are different false fingerings as well. Again, those are things that you can find learning materials on.
Sure.
Comfortably. Reeds are pretty much by and large the same. They're just a different width for the different horns. So because, soprano sax, the mouthpiece is quite narrow, whereas something like the tenor or the baritone, it's a little bit beefier. So, but the strengths of the reeds is similar. It's a similar grading system. And the idea really of the design of the family of saxophones is so that you can easily switch from one to another.
Gotcha.
And the only thing you really have to do is just read what's on the chart and play the notes accordingly, because the transposition is done on the chart for you anyway.
Oh,
So
that
you're
makes
just playing
sense.
the notes. You're just playing what it says on the chart.
Sure.
Or if you're improvising, then you just need to know what key the song is in and what key that puts you in for your saxophone.
Right.
So, if the song is in D major and you're playing tenor saxophone, then that's going to put you in E. But if you are on alto saxophone, that's going to put you in B major. So
Gotcha.
those are things to think about um, for improvisation. So you're going to have to transpose the chord changes appropriately. And again, it's a case of, to be a good professional saxophone player, you need to be able to play any of the instruments that, well, you don't need to play any of them,
Right.
but if you're going to switch from one to another, you need to be able to play either of those instruments in all 12 major keys and all 12 minor keys
Mm.
fluently, comfortably.
Is there
So
any
you're gonna have to learn your scales
yeah, that makes sense. So this
and
is just a
obstacles.
curious question on my part. Is there a major difference in the amount of air that you have to be able to put out going from the lower tones to the higher tones? Do you have to push harder with one, or do you have to be a little bit more delicate with one more than the other that you're aware of?
Well, the larger the instrument, the longer the tubing. So, so
Okay,
in
that
that
makes
respect,
sense. That makes sense.
there's the simple physiology. You do the math a wee bit, and you are going to have to expend a little more air on a baritone sax than you are on a soprano sax. So you may, if you are switching from soprano to tenor, you may find that you have to put a little bit more air into the instrument, but be careful not to push too much air, because if you push too much air through the instrument, you're going to run out pretty quickly, and that will start to affect your intonation. You'll start to drift flat a little more easily than you would. The thing with the soprano sax is hard to play because by itself the intonation is a little bit wonky anyway. It's a
Nice.
design limit. It's a limitation of the design of the instrument. So you have to naturally correct for the intonation of the instrument. So you would have, there are some pitches where you have to adjust your embouchure um, to compensate for the fact that the instrument is just a little out of tune in certain
Interesting.
registers. And I mean, the same is true for all of the saxophones, but that's particularly true of soprano sax. It has particular issues because it's straight. It's a straight bore instrument, so it has its own particular issues. Whereas tenor saxophone, alto sax, those issues with intonation are not quite so noticeable and not quite so cumbersome to get around. And you maybe just have to push your bite down a little more on the reed and push your jaw a little bit more further forward for certain pitches with tenor saxophone, for example.
Interesting. Now the saxophone solo on the song "Urgent" by Foreigner. You're familiar with that song, right?
I've not heard that one in a long
Oh
time.
yeah. I was wondering, is that a tenor sax or is that an alto sax?
You know what? I don't recall.
Okay, I was just curious because
Yeah,
it is
I
one
don't
of
recall.
my. I can hum that solo exactly the way that he played it, and it is just it's one of those, like some guitar solo songs. You've got the complex guitar solo. Okay, Bob says it's a tenor sax. So you get those guitar solos that are just as memorable as the vocal line.
Hmm.
And sometimes you get these guitar soloists that do this rip and like that. I'm really more comfortable with the slow, melodic, almost vocal-ish kind of solo. Just the stuff that sticks in your head. And the solo from the song "Urgent" just has those really high screaming parts that sound. It's like a voice.
Hmm.
It's like a voice that you're listening to with a killer range, and it just sounds so emotional and so cool. So I was wondering if that was a tenor or if that was an alto sax or whatever in the
Yeah,
pop.
I don't remember, but Dave is saying it's a tenor, so
Yeah,
I'll go with that, and I'll have to take another listen because it's been a
yeah,
very, very long time since I've listened to it. But
right.
I mean, the one of the things, particularly with pop and rock music and saxophone in that context, is that altissimo register and overblowing and getting the note to split into two notes
Yeah,
is a technique that is used A lot. It really is used a lot. Maybe not quite to overuse, but it's certainly very, very commonplace. So it's a technique that any saxophone player is going to have to learn how to do. And so you have to learn how to find that point where the note will split into
Wow.
the notes, and then you get the note plus an overtone.
Right. There's some of that in that solo for the song Urgent. And it just, I've always loved the energy of that saxophone solo. And I remember watching an interview with Lou Graham, the lead singer, where he said that he made the comment that the saxophone solo he felt was better than any of the vocal lines that he did in that song. And he's got a killer voice. Well, at least at that time he did. And
Mm.
to hear a singer say that about a saxophone, and I think I listened to it more even after that. Not to beat a dead horse here, but just the sound of the tenor sax. So let's see. So we got another question here. If you're up for it.
Yeah, we seem to have a saxophone theme going at the moment. John Hayden, a lot of Dire Straits. Dire Straits is a good one to point out, actually. The
Sure.
Brothers in Arms record, and there's a song there called "Your Latest Trick," which is a beautiful, beautiful song. Features a really, really understated vocal from Mark Knopfler, who is the master of the understated vocal.
No kidding.
That record, but on Your Latest Trick, it features the Brecker brothers, actually Michael and Randy. But the saxophone feature is Mike on tenor sax, and he takes a solo towards the end. Plus, he also introduces the theme of the song. In fact, first of all you have Randy on trumpet, and then you get Mike, who basically the tempo picks up, and he introduces the main theme of the song, and it's absolutely beautiful. But you get to hear Mike play a very, very simple, very melodic solo towards the end of the song, and it's a really beautifully composed solo. It's well thought out. It's nice thematic, simple themes, simple thematic development across the chord changes, when the guy is perfectly capable of playing at bewildering speed and complexity from highest altissimo all the way down to the boots of the instrument at breakneck speed. He was a genius, and yet here he is on this song playing very simple little pop melodies, and yet really capturing the emotion of the song. It's one of the things that Mike was a master at. So you can cross-reference that with his solo on Donald Fagen's Maxine, which is like 8 bars of perfection when it comes to a tenor sax solo, because
Perfection.
he captures the emotion of the song about a romantic interlude between a young couple in the 1950s. And it's a beautiful song written by Donald, and it features Mike on this 8-bar solo, and it's just melodically perfect. There's no technical fireworks, which he was certainly capable of, but it's just absolutely perfect for that song. And I think just about every saxophone player has attempted to learn it at one time or another, because it's just a piece of beauty.
I don't think I'm familiar with that myself.
Yeah, it's off of Donald's album, The Nightfly. A few people are saying that there are some graphical issues happening.
Graphic issues.
And I can certainly say I am seeing a few things going on.
I'm looking at the video now, and it looks fine.
Yeah, it's just coming every now and then. There's like a green stripe that comes across the top or the bottom.
Green stripe. That's interesting.
Yeah, John Hathwaite says here a little bit of green. Yeah, it's happening occasionally. Yeah, Bobby Booth confirms it as well.
I'm not sure. I've got a really I've got a really good broadcast signal here. It says it's stable. Says
Yeah, it could be some kind of bandwidth thing going on where maybe some
yeah.
video packets are getting dropped somewhere.
That's interesting because I very rarely have issues with the video.
You do very rarely have issues, so I'm not quite sure what's causing it.
Yeah. All right.
Sean White says, I find that I have seen more sax players that can circular breathe. Any correlation to the horn or just my luck? It's actually a very difficult technique. That's not to say it's not impossible. It's just difficult to do because you basically have to develop the ability to both inhale and exhale at the same time. And so as you're exhaling through your mouth, you also need to be able to inhale through your nose. And then you hold the air in kind of this cavity area here. And then you let that air out slowly whilst replacing it through your nose. And that's why they call it circular breathing, because the air basically just circulates around this area. So you're able to constantly output air through your saxophone or your trumpet or whatever instrument it might be that you're blowing. I've seen Stevie Wonder do it as well, actually, on his harmonica.
Oh,
So
really? On a harmonica.
the only place it doesn't work, where circular breathing does not work, is singing, because you cannot
Right. Right.
pass air in both directions over your vocal folds.
Right. You'd need 2 throats.
You would need something like that. It's not quite possible. There is a way in which you can fake it, and that is where you kind of suck the note and then blow.
Right.
And then
Yes. Now
breathe the
there's
note.
a singer out there that does that. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, if you go to Central Africa, countries like Chad and Nigeria, there are there's actually a vocal technique which actually uses that, where you inhale the note
Right.
as well as exhale the note, and it's amazing because you hardly hear the join. There's like maybe just a little kind of hint of a yodel over the break where the air's going in reverse.
That is amazing.
And I just watched myself do this. It was weird.
Yeah, it's weird when you're actually watching the replay while you're talking.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that information, Billy. I'm sure that has nothing to do with singing, but that's okay. Let's see. Bop actually says circular breathing. Dang. Your cigarette will just sit in the ashtray in the ice of a cocktail. Will be melted. So, and that can also give the illusion that you're not taking a breath. If you can get your voice smooth coming in, I mean, for me, it sounds.
Yeah, you sound at first. You sound like a braying donkey.
But if you can actually get that to work, that's amazing, because it would almost sound like you never take a breath.
Yeah.
And that that's just, it's like taking using Studio One to edit out all the breaths and stuff like that. That's
Making a note. Yeah, continue.
yeah, that would take some extreme throat control.
Yeah, John says, is that how throat singing works? It's definitely a part of the technique for throat singing. Yeah. And
Interesting.
I have no idea where to start with doing things like throat singing.
Right. That's given my condition, I'm lucky to actually sound like this sometimes. So I would never go ahead and dive into something like that. Although when
That's true. In your case, because of the way your dysphonia works, it constricts your vocal folds.
yes.
Or the muscles around the vocal folds.
Right. And it's amazing because it's like walking around with somebody trying to strangle you all day long.
Yeah.
And then you end up with this little boy. You end up sounding a little nasally and stuff when you can't engage the throat. You end up having to like breathe a different way. There's sometimes where my throat, like if I talk higher, if I talk in my higher range, I can actually get most of my regular voice. But if I talk in my normal range, it's really hard to.
Does it require more effort and is therefore more painful to go kind of try and speak in a high pitch?
Yeah,
Yep.
I have to take a real deep breath, or if I actually talk really quietly. See, now I'm just over a whisper, And when
Yeah.
I do my videos sound so smooth because I speak like this. But when I get on a subject that I'm really excited about, I can't talk like this. I get excited and I take a deep breath where I don't need to. So I could talk like this all day long, but
Yeah.
I have a ton of compression on my voice right now. So
Yeah.
even if I whisper, it'll actually come through loud. So this way I could talk all day long. And I've tried desperately to teach myself to just talk this way. But I get so excited with some of this stuff, I can't help myself, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, yeah. So, I mean, so the good thing is that the dysphonia, like I can't order food in a restaurant. I can't talk to people in the car just by the wind and stuff. Nobody can hear me at all.
Yeah.
So, today, I was at the doctor, and it was nice because it was so quiet. I just talked like this, and he says, "How's your voice?" And I says, "Well, it hurts 24/7 when I try to speak." And he's like, "Well, you actually talk. You actually sound good right now." I said,
Mm.
"Yeah, because I am the only sound in this room right now."
Yeah. Fill the room with people
Yeah,
and
you fill the room with people and a lot of background noise. I can't even
win.
I
Yeah.
function. Yeah. So I'm always interested in these things like the throat singing and stuff like that. What would it, and it's so funny because I can do my character voices, but I can't do my own voice loud. Like, I
You know
can
what?
make a voice like this and talk really loud, It- and it comes through perfectly. But if I try to have a normal conversation at that level, it's impossible. So I
You
would
just,
be,
yeah, you're gonna have to kind of
yeah,
become your character,
yeah,
or it's gonna have to just shout all the time, which is gonna
right.
that's probably at the end of the day gonna hurt more because
Oh,
after a while your
sure,
voice will just fatigue
sure.
if you're shouting all the
Now,
time.
the other night, I was singing and I found a note that I could actually belt out a decent vocal, and it felt so good. So, getting back to the throat singing, is I would love to understand the muscle control to do that, to see if I could duplicate that, because my muscles in my throat are just mush because of the dysphonia. I would love to see if I could overcome that somehow and at least be able to sing a little bit, So,
Yeah.
so that's that.
Oh, I
That's
bet. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I suppose, the dysphonia, I'm not mocking this in the slightest because I know it's an incredibly painful and uncomfortable condition for you.
Oh yeah,
'Cause I've known you, I've known you for nearly 10 years,
yeah,
so I would never do that. But
right.
I'm just thinking maybe there are certain circumstances where it does have its uses where the person sat next to you has really annoyed you and you want to be able to insult them, but at the same time you don't want them to know that you've insulted them.
Right. Oh, yeah, right,
So you can
exactly.
just talk in your normal, quiet voice and say, "Well,
Yeah,
you're just a right," and then you can just like reel off a bunch of expletives
right, exactly.
and
Hold on
tell them,
one second.
how they
I've got to
how
take a
they're
call. Hold on a second.
okay, and you can just do all of that, and nobody would hear it, and you would still feel the benefit of it. All right, whilst Johnny's taking the call, let's get some more questions in the chat, and we can go from there. So Dave says, I find doing circular breathing can also be dangerous depending upon physical health. It could potentially be. It is a technique that you have to learn correctly. Otherwise, like you say, you can kind of there is potential for being able to turn yourself blue and all of that because you're not allowing the right amount of oxygen to flow through your system. So it is something that you have to um, when you practice it, it's fine, practice it, but do it for short bursts so that you can then actually return yourself to a normal breathing technique so that you can then reoxygenate your system. I've seen Wynton Marsalis, the trumpet player. I've seen him do this on a tune called Cherokee, jazz standard called Cherokee. And he plays at about 320, 330 beats a minute, really, really, really fast. And so he'll take like a whole chorus, which basically means all the way through the form of the song from beginning to end and then back round again. He'll do maybe two choruses without stopping. So he's doing the circular breathing, but then he will take a pause just to get the air properly back down through into his lungs and to reoxygenate himself. Because I guess if you keep doing it, you could potentially kind of pass out. And then, you can just go back to just, playing normally. And it's not a technique you'd employ all the time. Didgeridoo players in Australia, it is a technique that they have to employ all the time whilst they're playing it, because the whole idea of the didgeridoo is to produce a constant, never-ending sound. So how they keep that going, I'm not sure. Bobby Booth says probably try different breathing techniques or different voice. That won't hurt. Yes.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Some of the people where I work don't realize I'm not on shift yet. So he's asking me a bunch of questions. I'm like, I have no idea. I've been at the doctor all day. So.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Tony Cardona says, can one of you guys show me how to copy automation from one track to another?
I'll let you take that one, John.
All right. So let's do this. Let me go to the classroom.
And then after that, I'll take Dave's question about Dorian mode.
All right. Perfect. All right. Let me do this here. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to open up Studio One. It is actually as simple as it seems. In order to copy automation, the important part is to make sure that when you copy and paste, make sure you don't move the cursor from the present position. But there is a way to move it if it's off. So let me... doop, doop, doop. I got the bouncing ball. I got the bouncing ball. Yeah, after a reboot, the first startup of Studio One is always really slow.
Gotta love that beach ball.
I know. Let's see. So let's copy. Let's open up this. Let's do a new song, and let's create a couple of tracks. And check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Let me record something. Check 1. Whoops, that didn't work. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. All right, so I got a little weenie thing here because I don't have my volume up. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. So if I go ahead and I open up the automation part here, and I put this, I'm going to do volume, and I'm going to put it in read. So now I'm going to actually put this on volume and put this on read. Check. All right. So now if I go ahead and I do this to touch and check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. There we go. So now in order to copy this is really easy. Just kind of take this like this. And you can do a, let's see, I can do a Control C. Then come down here. I should be able to do a Control V. There we go, just like that. But you see, it was over. So now I can take this and line it up. So that's how important it is to keep the cursor so that it pastes right. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Now I should be able to bring the cursor over here and do the same thing. There we go. I can go ahead and come to this track. Remember, you got to highlight the track. Right click. Make sure you place your cursor and say paste. Just like that. So as long as all of the dots are highlighted, you can move this around. You can also use, see if I can get this here. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Where is my transform tool? That's the paint tool. Am I missing something? Is it here?
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to find the transform tool. So this is the range tool. Boy, has it been this long?
Do you remember the key command for it?
Well, I don't do key commands. I like the mouse. I like to be able to see the menus. What's this? That's the paint tool. Oh, there it is. Oh, gosh. So you can also do this. You can use the transform tool to move your automation around. Just like that. And to stretch your automation. Or you can highlight all of, or you can highlight all of the dots and then just grab one and move it around like that. But the placement of the cursor is what's important. Right click, paste. There we go, just like that. And it pasted down here because this track was highlighted. Bam. Just like that. So let me know if that helps. I think that was it easy. I always forget that the transform tool is actually here on this here, the draw tool. So there you go. Does that sound about right, Johnny?
Yep.
That's it. So that question was from Tony Cardona. So
yes,
Tony, let me know if that helps. All right, next question.
All right, so this is Dave's question. He was talking about theme for common man. It appears to be a Dorian, but a flatted 7 in the scale. Yeah, Dorian actually has the flatted 7 in the scale. That's by design for the Dorian scale. Basically, the Dorian scale is it's the white notes from D to D. So by design, it has a flat third and the flat 7 as in it by design. So it already has that in it. So in the key of C, you're talking about C, it would be B flat, not A flat. A flat would be the flat 13 or the sharp 5. So, or there's the flat 7, flat third. So it's basically 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7, and back to 1. All right, so that's Dorian mode. Starting on any particular scale point. So on F, it would be 1, flat 3, 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7, and back again. That's how the Dorian scale is composed. But yeah, theme for common man. Yeah, it does use Dorian mode a little bit. It also uses a little bit of mixed and Lydian mode, and of course there are some chromatic enclosures and things like that as well. But yeah, it's a good one. There's some questions about didgeridoo here from Sean, who says, is the didgeridoo commonly a solo instrument? If not, you could stagger the breathing, would be my first thought to prolong drone with circular breathing. It is a solo instrument, but it can also be played in a group as well. But most commonly, you would hear it as a solo instrument. And yeah, you do actually have to keep the thing going. How they do it, I don't know. Playing for like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of just constantly circular breathing without passing out, I don't know. Yeah. The thing we're trying to do it with another instrument, I mean, because the didgeridoo is kind of like the tube is like about that wide. So the embouchure is really loose. You don't have to worry about your mouth position when it's over the end of the didgeridoo.
Right.
Whereas with trumpet, your embouchure is much, much smaller because you've got to force the air through a much, much smaller hole. And so you're having to worry about your embouchure and pushing the air through and also breathing the air back in through your nasal passages. And then you're storing the air kind of between here, and that's where the circulation takes place.
Right. Gosh,
Tricky technique.
Yeah, just it's such a a cool thing to watch somebody do that circular breathing. I've only seen a few videos on it, and it's just, to be able to keep the timbre and the formant of your voice through it, that takes a lot of muscle control.
It takes a lot of practice to get it right. It takes a lot of practice.
Definitely. All right, so for me, I'm gonna have to get going. Thank you, Johnny, for being here and actually using the word didgeridoo. I've never.
Didgeridoo, yeah, it's amazing to me that we have not talked about the didgeridoo.
No kidding.
At all.
Yeah,
So
it's never come up. And I do have to say one thing about your video. And if I look at the smaller video of you where we're side by side from a distance, it looks like you're wearing the world's smallest yellow tie on a shirt with a collar.
Oh,
because sometimes I just look past it, and if you look at the smaller video, you're kind of focused on the whole. It's like the world's smallest tie.
Yeah, this is just the zip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know it's just the zipper, but it just,
I can see how it would look that way.
Yeah, just like the world's smallest tie, and that's probably a tie I can actually wear because I can't tie a tie.
It'd take you like 2.5 seconds to tie. There, done.
Exactly. All right, very cool. With 24 people in here, and I'm using my high voice so that I can talk at a decent level. Hopefully everybody understands some of the changes. Yes, and there's Peter with the no smoking sign. Yes, I've never smoked anything or taken any drugs or even drank alcohol, and I still lost my voice. So I don't know what that means, but anyway.
It doesn't mean anything. But
yeah. My dad said it's because the gods got sick of listening to me, but it's okay. That's my dad. Thanks, Dad. All right, very cool, Johnny. Thank you so much. And so you will be starting the new time at 6 o'clock for Songwriting Simplified next week.
Over on my channel, if there are some outstanding questions that we didn't get to tonight, so if you would like to hold those, you can bring those on Sunday for Sunday Night Live.
Perfect. And if you like, I can actually compile questions that I get for it and send them to you for Wednesdays.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
So
I don't have access to your Wix.
Yeah, that's all right. No problem. So like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I just have to change things up for a while. I hope everybody understands.
Yeah, you need to take a little vacation.
Yes, a little hiatus. But I will be doing live streams maybe once a week. I might do them in the afternoons at 2 o'clock for the Facebook groups. If people are having issues, I want to be available for an hour or so and answer some questions in real time. I might do stuff like that. And I may be keeping the midnight show. So stay tuned to this channel, and I will let you know what happens. Johnny, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It has been an absolute blast all of these years. I mean, we've done this for 5 years, I think now.
Yeah, at least. At least.
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast doing these shows and seeing how they've kind of developed and stuff over the years. And I have every confidence that we will bring it back to your channel when the time is right and you've had a well earned, well deserved break.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right.
So yes, for the foreseeable, we'll be over on my channel for Songwriting Simplified on Wednesdays and Sunday Night Live on Sundays.
Perfect.
And we'll be back soon, I promise. And I'm going to have guests, so it won't just be me. I'm going to have guests on Wednesdays. And sometimes when Johnny gets a rare night off, we'll bring him in.
Yes, it'll be awesome. Well, say goodbye to the folks as only Johnny Lipsham can.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Johnny. Take care, man.
Good night, buddy.
Good night, man. All right, Johnny is gone, and it is just me here. I do appreciate everybody's understanding. And I will let you know as things develop. This channel will at some point go to a home studio trainer. And I will be releasing videos. I do have a possible deal with another video company to do a series of Studio 16 training videos. So that is in negotiation. In fact, I talked to that gentleman tomorrow, and I will keep you all up to date. If you are a Patreon member, that's not going to stop. You guys are going to get videos. You guys are going to get your own live streams over there. So please, try to stick around over there on Patreon to support what I do, because I wouldn't be able to do this without your support. There's about 20 people over there left. I hope I can do enough to keep you guys there. So very cool. All right, these are going to be my last few words. Later. Hey folks, this is Johnny, and if you'd like to support Home Studio Trainer and Johnny Guide live streams and videos, check out my spring store. I've got everything from water bottles to shirts to hoodies, and everything you can imagine is over there. Most of it has the Home Studio Trainer logo on it, but if you dig a little deeper into the site, you'll find the hats that are available with both my black and white logo and my HST logo on it. So if you'd like to support what I do here, check that out, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you much for being a home studio trainer and Johnny Guide live stream and video supporter. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next live stream.